All right, welcome everyone to another Saberwing Nature Tours virtual program. We're glad to have you here this evening. Tonight we're very excited to have Diego Quesada, the guide that we work with in Costa Rica, to talk to us about one of the tours that we've started offering on the photography side for Agami Herons and King Vulture photography. Very exciting species to be able to photograph, and Diego has a great, very photo-oriented program for us this evening for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Diego Quesada.
Okay, huh?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rob, and ladies and gents. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me back. To all my fellow colleagues at Saberwing Nature Tours. I'm Diego Quesada, and as Rob said, I'm a naturalist and birding guide in Costa Rica. I enjoy nature photography, bird photography as well. And the program that we have for you tonight, it's the Costa Rica photography, Agami Heron, King Vulture, and more. And we have a date set for 2021, starting June 5th through the 12th. And we want to talk about this amazing experience. So I'm gonna start over by sharing my screen. Just need someone to confirm that it's visible.
It is visible.
Thank you very much.
Looks good.
Just gonna... Okay. So, well, these tours that we run in Costa Rica, this nature photography and bird photography tours. Well, the idea is for everyone to get the best pictures possible, get you on the birds and get you on the best settings and locations to get the bird species that you are so eager to capture in photography and to get to know. And of course, for us, it's also important to give you a nice experience and not only get you on the bird, get you in the picture, but get you in the context of the bird and their natural history, and get you also in the context of how your presence on this particular tour, it's creating benefit for lots of people in the way of ecotourism. So I just wanted to start by talking about where Costa Rica is. If anyone is not really familiar, Costa Rica is located in Central America. So it's a small country, 19,200 square miles, slightly smaller than West Virginia. Population 5 million, and Costa Rica has the privilege of hosting 5% of the world's biodiversity. Just to talk about birds, which is our field of interest, we have 921 species of birds in the country. That's roughly 9% of all bird species that we have in the world, which is, of course, amazing. The geography that Costa Rica has provides this diversity of habitats, from mangrove swamps on the coast to tropical rainforests across the lowlands and foothills of the country, tropical dry forests on the west of Costa Rica, cloud forests on the mountains, up to the Paramo in the highlands, where we have a total different ecosystem. And all these habitats range from sea level up to 12,500 feet elevation. Our trip, the one that we need to talk about, focuses on the Caribbean slope of Costa Rica. and it starts in San Jose, Costa Rica, our capital, at 3,000 feet elevation, and that would be our first destination. Then we would go to Mackenzie Lodge on the Northern Plains, and to finish up at Lirio Lodge on the Caribbean coast. So our first destination, it's Bog Gambilia Hotel. That's one of the hotels we use in the capital. It's not far from the airport, about 25 minutes drive. And this is a nice hotel with beautiful gardens, 6 acres of beautiful, well-kept gardens with orchids, lots of flowers. And if the time allows, with your arrival to San Jose, then we would have on the first day a nice afternoon walking, strolling around the gardens of Bougainvillea. And some of the species likely to get there are the common species of the Central Valley, such as the blue-gray tanager, which is a regular in the gardens there, the rufous-tailed hummingbird, which is the most common species of hummingbird in the country. And if we would be lucky, Lesson's mudmott is also on the grounds of Bougainvillea, which we would have also chances the next morning before breakfast, as we get ready to start our program. After Bougainvillea in the Central Valley, we would drive the mountain pass of the Poas volcano down into the Caribbean foothills, and we would stop at a location that we have for hummingbird photography. So species such as this beautiful copper-headed emerald, an endemic hummingbird to Costa Rica, are possible there. And we would have also some other species like the purple-throated mountain jay, which is also a regional endemic that we share with Panama, green thorntails, and of course the astonishing violet saberwing is also possible during this day. Or we would keep driving into the northern plains, and our destination is Mackenzie Lodge in the area of Boca Tapada. This is lowland tropical rainforest. They have beautiful facilities, beautiful rooms, a very good restaurant, and the area of Mackenzie Eco Lodge offers several birding destinations with birding setups for photography, feeders, fruit feeders, and hummingbird feeders. And we would stay for the next 3 nights here at Mackenzie Eco Lodge, and looking for some of the species that you can find in this area, like this beautiful green honey creeper, brown hooded parrots, um, 3 species of toucans. The color arsari and yellow-throated and keelbill toucans are possible to be found around this area, and there are very good chances of good photography for these birds as well. Shining honey creepers. We have here on the right hand side the female of the shining honey creeper, and then crimson colored tanager as well, orange sheen parakeets, red-legged honey creepers, and so on. There are so many different species of birds that you can find in the gardens, in the grounds of the lodge, and to the feeding stations that we will be visiting during our stay in this area. Russet nape wood rail is also possible along the riverbank or the lagoons that surround the cabins at Mackenzie Eco Lodge, and it's one of our targets there as well. But we are not only focusing on birds. There will be also chances for macro photography with amphibians and reptiles, insects, even bats if we wanted to go for that and go out at night. And take advantage of the bats feeding on the hummingbird feeders, and they also come at night, and that's another thing that we could photograph there. So things like this beautiful red-eyed tree frog are possible to be captured in photography with macro photography there. Strawberry poison dart frogs, or the green and black poison dart frog, amongst many other things that we can provide the setups for a good macro photography as well. But that's another shot of the red-eyed tree frog there. But the main goal of being in this area is, of course, the king vulture. And why we look for king vulture? What is it about this bird? So king vultures, first of all, they range from southern Mexico down to Argentina, mostly found in lowland forests and middle elevations throughout the range. These are large birds, 2.5 feet tall. They weigh 8 pounds approximately, and their wingspan and goes up to 6 feet long. So it's a large vulture, beautiful, beautiful vulture. There are 6 species of them in the continent, the American continent, and by far the king vulture is the most colorful one. Normally, and just put that picture as a reference, this is the type of sighting that you get of a king vulture, and you can tell them apart because of the overall white underparts, the black flying feathers that etch and show very very nicely for as they are soaring up high looking for food. But that's not what you photograph photographers or enthusiasts of nature photography would like to have. You would like to have the whole package, of course. And that's why we go to this region of Boca Tapada near Mackenzie Eco Lodge, because they do have the setups for blind to attract the king vultures, and they use carcasses to attract them. As they soar up high in the sky, they look for their food. Normally, king vultures, of course, they're scavengers, and they find their food by soaring high and using their sight. Especially, they follow congregations of other vultures, especially of those of the genus Cathartes, which are the turkey vultures. So they follow the concentrations and come down to feed on the carcasses. Uh, Very important to say that this type of setup, it's it's bringing a lot of benefit to the community, because there's people working on these areas and these setups and the lodges that have them. And the idea of our tours is to bring benefit not only to the lodge, but to all the people around. And throughout the tour, we will be visiting not just the properties that we have where we stay, but we will be also visiting some other nature reserve, small properties of locals that provide the services of making setups for bird and nature photography. So with that being said, if you want to see a king vulture in the tropics, it's likely that at some point you're going to see one soaring up there. But if you really want to get a photograph, then you have to come with us to these areas and take advantage of the setups that they have and the blind that they have. So this is a king vulture using one of the perches that they put together for them to show up, you know. The blind that they have built is really comfortable and can fit up to 6, 7 people can be sitting there comfortably and enjoying the photograph. There's anti-reflection glass that provides the setup for you to get the pictures. And I'm gonna show you here small video. I hope that the connection will allow you to see, so you can get an idea of the type of setup that we have for the king vulture. I'm just gonna hit play. And as you can see on this video, I'm just gonna play it one more time. It's just 10 seconds. Hopefully you're getting it. Just at that particular moment, we're talking about 3 king vulture, 3 adults, and 1 juvenile close to the feeders. This is a juvenile king vulture. You can tell because of the plumage, the black plumage, and still remaining in the back of the bird. Sexual maturity on king vulture, it's reached between 4 and 5 years old. They are monogamous. They share breeding responsibilities, and they breed in dry season. Normally they nest in cavities at low levels or middle levels of the forest, or on the ground. Normally it's just 1 egg. But this is how close you can be to these majestic birds, and their beautiful white eye, and those oranges and purple colors on their skin, on the bare skin of the bird are just impressive. Also, it's interesting that the king vulture is larger than the other species of vultures that come to the carcasses, and they have priority because their bill is stronger. They can rip up areas of the carcass that the other birds don't have the ability to rip open. So that's another thing that the king vultures do. And as you spend several hours there at the blind, and you can take turns, or you can take little breaks and come back to the lodge and then come again. You can experiment and just be imagine new pictures and trying to get as many different poses as you can throughout the time you're there. And then every now and then there's a black vulture that wants to be on the picture and outstage the king. Not that this guy liked it, as you can see on the picture, but that's the type of experience that you are up to when you come on this tour with us. And it's really impressive what you can get. Full frame pictures of the face, or full body pictures. um, Comparison, this is another juvenile feeding together with the black vultures there. And this is another picture that I wanted to show you, just to show the size difference between black vultures and the king vulture. As you can tell, they are quite big compared to them, and that's why they rule. They are the king. And every now and then you can get great shots, or not so great, because this one's a little moved, but he's the one sitting there and not giving away the perch to this black vulture. And that's the type of experience that you're up to when you come to this area. And this is one of the main targets for the trip. And that take us now to the next destination. After spending 3 nights in this area and photographing all of these species of different birds that you got to see here, and so many others, we will start driving back and towards the east of Costa Rica into the Caribbean coast. And we'll get, after a couple hours of driving, 2-3 hours of driving, and then we get to a destination. We will have a 20-minute boat ride and we will get to Lirio Lodge. And this is a lodge located in the middle of the tropical rainforest by the coast, um, on a lagoon called Madre de Dios. And this is kind of like people call this whole area, this long strip on the east of Costa Rica, the Amazon of the Central America, since there are tropical rainforests and water canals that you can go on the boats for hours and hours. And the lodge is located there. It's a little more basic, but it's a very nice, clean hotel with all the amenities, of course. And this would be the base for the last section of our tour that take us to one of the main targets of the tour. Excuse me. The lodge, Lirio Lodge, is located just 10 minutes away from Pacuare Reserve, a nature reserve that protects about 800 hectares of tropical rainforest along the coastline. And this project is run by Ecology Project International, non-government organization that has conservation efforts, especially for the protection of sea turtles. Several species of sea turtles nest on the beach at the Pacuare Reserve, and especially the endangered leatherback sea turtle that is nesting there throughout between April to July approximately. And the Ecology Project International, they run nurseries where they protect the eggs, they patrol the beach, they have volunteers from all over the world coming to this to their reserve to help out. And they also run programs of monitoring and research on several species of mammals, like jaguars and other felines. They run monitoring also on 3 species of monkeys: capuchin, howler, and spider monkeys. And they happen to have the most accessible nesting colony of Agami Heron. And this is where we are going to right now. So Agami Heron, it's very secretive species of heron that ranges from Mexico through South America. And throughout the range, these spectacular, unique herons that prefer lowland primary forests, wetlands, or small creeks inside the rainforest and the wetlands in different areas of dense vegetation. Um, that's the habitat that they prefer. You can find them there, but normally, if you are lucky enough to find an Agami heron, you will get a shot like this, or you will get a view like this, or even worse, because they are very secretive. They sit still on the bank of these streams, um, taking advantage of the dark of the forest and the vegetation to provide cover and protection for them. And at the same time, they just stare at the water, waiting for fish or frog or some other prey to go by. And they use their straight, sharp bill to spear them and feed on them. So being so secretive and being so and not as conspicuous as other species of herons throughout the range, but with those beautiful colors, this large heron, it's also, their size is about 2.5 feet tall, so it's a large heron. It's one of the most sought after species of herons in the tropics. So this is another view of a juvenile inside the vegetation. And normally on a boat ride, there could be several of them along the river banks, but normally they stay behind. The most a certain way of getting good photographs of Agami Heron is going to their nesting colonies, because they nest in colonies. There are 8 recorded nesting colonies for Agami Heron in Central and South America, starting from Mexico, coming down to Costa Rica, then Venezuela, Ecuador, Guyana, Brazil, and Peru. Out of these 8 nesting colonies, the most accessible by far is the colony in Costa Rica at the Pacuare Reserve, protected in there. For example, the one colony in Ecuador, you have to rappel down a helicopter to get to the place where the colony is. And the one in Brazil, you have to take boat ride for about 6 hours to get to the nesting colony. And because of the conditions of the terrain and everything, you still are about 200 feet away from the colony to get to see it. And most of the other colonies are unreachable. The colony in Costa Rica is not the largest in numbers. The largest colony is in Guyana, but it's totally inaccessible. And in Guyana, there are records of about 900 to 1,000 nests of Agami Heron at one point. The average number of nests in the Costa Rican colony, it's 80. So, of course, it's still a large colony. 160 Agami Herons right in front of you, and that's something marvelous to see. So we're gonna talk about now. I'm gonna show you a little bit of photographs of the agamis and their habitat at the Pacuare Reserve. First of all, I just wanted to share really quickly with you this graphic here about the reproductive cycle of Agami herons in Costa Rica. And this is a study that was run between 2004 and 2005. The study determined that the average length of time of the nesting colony is 180, between 185 to 188 days, starting in February and going all the way through September. And the researchers managed to create this or separate the whole length of the reproductive cycle into different stages. First of all, the agamis will arrive and start building their nest between February and March. Right after that, mating happens and incubation would start in late March, but it will go all the way through August. Hatching starts in late April and goes down to August. And the fledglings will start coming out in early June all the way through August as well. By late August, early September, all the agamis will leave. And this is something important because when you have concentrations of 900 nests or 80 nests, you see, well, there are so many agamis there, you might get to sitting or otherwise outside the breeding season. But that's not the case. One of the studies run in Guyana, they use tracking, satellite tracking with 5 birds, and they determined that one of the birds moved as far as 200 miles away from the nesting site. So we could be talking, and this is information that we still don't have, but we could be talking about the whole population of Costa Rica and maybe some birds from Panama and Nicaragua coming down to nest at this nesting colony in Costa Rica, on the Caribbean of Costa Rica. So that's why it's so important. And what we are most excited about is that between the dates that we would be there, we program our tours there for June, and that's when all the stages, all most of the stages of the nesting are happening there. So when you visit the reserve around this time of year, you will get to see birds mating, birds building nest, birds incubating, birds with chicks or fledglings, and the whole cycle is there for you to enjoy, which is wonderful, because then you can get things, you get to see the interactions like the agamis building nests and bringing nest material, or you can see it in incubating. Normally is up to 4 eggs that they lay. It's a bluish egg, and you can see it in there. Both the male and female participate in the whole process as well, so you can see those interactions. And but most of the day, these diurnal herons, they are just sitting there or just working on their nests or feeding their chicks. And I just wanted to play this video for you, just so you see how they behave when they are at the colony. So as you can tell, they you're sitting there, and sorry, that's the same guy, is showing those beautiful colors that they have and giving you great opportunities for photography. The people that run the reserve EPI, they have built already a structure, infrastructure for bird watchers and photographers to come and try not to disturb the agamis. Um, and it's really important to say, as I said earlier, this is the most accessible uh, colony in the whole continent. Uh, from Lirio Lodge, our base, to the reserve, it's about 10-15 minutes on a boat ride. And once at the reserve, you walk on a very nice flat trail, shady, alongside the beach. And then there's about 300 yards inside the forest, which sometimes get a little muddy. But once you are there, the closest nest could be probably 60 feet away from you. And sometimes the birds move around, and they don't necessarily stand are perch on their nest. Sometimes they are just perched on the close branches, and they go down to the water and try to feed, etc. So it's really good for photography, for video, and just to enjoy these interactions of the Agami herons. And imagine 150 plus Agami herons right in front of your eyes, and for you to enjoy the experience is really interesting. Another really good opportunity is that when the Agami herons are before just before they start breeding and building their nest, the courtship, it takes place, and the skin, the facial skin of the Agami heron turns pink. And this is a couple here. There's a male trying to look nice for the female. And I'm sorry. And this is a picture a friend of mine took, David Rodriguez, and he was kind enough to share it with us, just for us to enjoy how beautiful they are. It's just spectacular, that plumage and the facial skin is just unbelievable. Um, the skin, the feathers on the throat, they seem like they're glowing. They are almost iridescent, and you can see on the right of your screen the interaction with the chicks. And all of these pictures that I'm showing you were taken at one moment during June uh, at the colony. So as I said earlier, you get to see all the different stages of the nesting cycle there. And this is another video that I'm going to play for you, just so you see the interaction with the chicks. The nest that they build, they find a fork on a branch above the water, and they just bring sticks and cross them over until they form a platform to lay their eggs. But not long after the chicks have hatched, it starts to fall apart, and by the time the chicks have that size, it's almost gone. Sorry, just gonna go to the next one here. Okay, you can see them also coming down close to the water to drink or hopes to get some snack as well. And he'll be everywhere there, all over around, all around to where you are in this height that they built. You can see the Agami Herons, they're just perching and preening and working on their nest and so on. So it's a quite a marvelous experience, a great opportunity to photograph such enigmatic bird that you normally just get glimpses of them if you're lucky enough to have one outside on a boat ride in other regions of the country. Sometimes they're not as patient as they will be there, because this is where they are, and they are not going anywhere. They are safe. They feel safe there, and they are not disturbed by our presence as well, which is good. And you can just keep working on your photography. This program actually has 3 visits to the rookery, one on the afternoon, the first day that we arrive, and 2 visits the next day, one on the morning, one in the afternoon, just to maximize the opportunities of photography, and as well as the different changes of daylight and light available for the photography. So I'm just gonna play one more video. This fellow here. There he goes. And as I said, I mean, there's so many opportunities being there and spending time, being patient, and you can get pictures like this and probably improve them even. Uh, but that's the opportunity that we want to offer. with these two enigmatic species, this very difficult species to photograph otherwise. And I think that's it for me. I'll hand it over to Rob, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, so we did have one question right up front of if you're looking at a 2-week quarantine upon entry for COVID restrictions.
Well, restrictions for COVID right now in Costa Rica, there's no quarantine required. Can you hear me? Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yes, there's no quarantine requirement in Costa Rica right now. There's no negative test required as well to enter Costa Rica. However, as of now, there is a requirement for COVID tests to head back into the US. That's the only requirement. And the other requirement that Costa Rica is asking for is to have travel insurance that would cover in the event of medical assistance. Actually, Brian, which I think it's around here, he just came to Costa Rica, and I would like him if he can talk for him first experience how the things are in Costa Rica. But we are doing, I would say, in overall, Costa Rica has been very effective on the management of the pandemic.
Yeah, Diego. So I was there in November, as you know, and everything was super smooth. I was very impressed with all the protocols that the various lodges had in place as far as for COVID safety. Also very impressed with just the public at large traveling around in rural areas in the city. Didn't matter. Everybody was wearing masks, keeping distance from each other, and just no issues whatsoever. I saw more people failing to use good common sense in an hour and a half in Fort Lauderdale's airport than I did in the entire 10 days in Costa Rica. So felt very comfortable while I was there. Had a great time thanks to Diego's guidance. And the one thing that should be mentioned is that travel insurance. You do have to purchase that there upon arrival, I believe. I'm not sure. You might be able to get it ahead of time, but it's not your typical travel insurance that you would get for a regular trip. This is COVID insurance, basically.
Great, thanks, Brian. Do we have any other questions? You can toss them in the chat or ask them out loud. All right, not seeing any other questions. Diego, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Great program, amazing photos of both King Vulture and Agami Heron. We hope piqued your interest a little bit for this tour, and we have our 2021 dates, but we'll also have 2022 dates as well if you're not quite comfortable traveling with COVID situations yet. But we hope to have you join us on a trip once everything is safe. We will also have more upcoming programs, so keep an eye on our website for additional Saber Nature Tours programs coming up in the next couple months. Thanks for joining us tonight, and have a great night.
Thank you for having me.